everybody, and welcome to another edition of Change Point Conversations. Thanks for joining us. Patrick Kelly here, and I am pleased to be with Dave Tabor, Senior Vice President of Business Partnerships here at the Colorado Association of Chamber and Commerce, or the State Chamber.
Right? Yep. Yeah. Colorado Association of Commerce and Industry.
Commerce and Industry.
Full name.
Messed it up already.
No, that's right.
That's good. Well, thanks so much. We're in Dave's offices here. It's a beautiful Friday afternoon. It kind of feels like fall out a little bit. It's
fabulous.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming. And I always like to start, give us a little background about you and kind of your story and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. Originally from Buffalo, New York, and I've lived and worked my way west a little bit through family reasons. I went to high school and college in Iowa, Drake University, and then a while back, I just, Colorado has always had this romantic notion to me. I've been here as a kid, vacationing, wanted to live in Colorado, loved Colorado, and so I called up an uncle who owned a family furniture business, and I said, Uncle Jerry, can I have a job if I come out here? And he said, you want to sell furniture? I'm like, sure, I'll come
Whatever
out.
Gets you out
Whatever
here, right?
got me out. So a week later, I was on my way out to Colorado. I just put everything in my car and drove out here. I had nothing. My kids have a hard time believing that I slept on the floor of an apartment, no furniture whatsoever, couldn't even afford a bed.
Yeah.
Slept on the floor for several months out here and sold furniture for him, and really just kind of had fun enjoying Colorado for 2 years and saved up money to go back to grad school. And then I went to CU Denver grad school, and I remember going to the dean and like, I've got enough money for 1 year. And he said, well, no, we got, this is a 2-year program. I'm like, I got enough money for
I understand,
1 year.
but
1 year, yeah. And so we figured it out. I tested out of some stuff. They gave me some life credit stuff. And anyway, so I got an MBA after a year, and then Bill Daniels hired 2 of us out of grad school.
Wow.
So Bill Daniels, the famous cable guy, and he, when I talk about Bill, I always talk about what a generous leader he was. And I'm sad that he's gone, but the very first day I went to work at Bill Daniels, 2 remarkable things happened. One, I got ownership shares of every future partnership that the cable company invested in.
Wow.
So nothing else. I was making, I think, $18,000, but I from day one I had shares in the company.
You felt ownership.
It was cool.
Yeah.
The other thing he did is he brought me into the inner circle on day one. So I was in a conference room with Malone, John C., Seaman, these guys that were like cable visionary pioneers.
You're looking up to going like,
he had me in the conference room at the table with these guys knowing zero. And I'm like, what a generous guy. What a generous leader. And I think, I look back and I'm like, it really was a striking example of what a great leader can do.
What do you think that did? I mean, obviously that impacted you a lot, and I mean, what I'm guessing in that moment it was terrifying because you're like, "Whoa, this is
it was pretty
crazy.
surreal." Yeah.
But what did that do? I think there's such a huge, when you look at millennials today, and one of the biggest things they want is that opportunity. Is I don't necessarily want to be the boss.
Yeah.
I just want to feel like I'm sitting at the table and that I'm a part of the dialogue.
Yeah.
And what did that do for you?
I got to tell you, I was not part of the dialogue. I mean,
you were there.
I was there, and I knew just to be quiet. And I guess that really is a difference now because you and I both like Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm looking at the book on which you've set the
cameras
the
on
camera.
our Gary Vaynerchuk book.
One of the things he's talking about is that now in today's world that 25-year-olds aren't just sitting at the table. They're sort of holding court at the table for senior leaders who need to hear their perspective on technology and future trends and so forth. So that was a different time, and I kind of knew my place. I think today it would be a different model. Yeah. Right.
I think one of the things that I see, and I think that is very interesting, is there is that shift. I think that the seeing hierarchy is a little different. Right.
Yeah,
I think the older mentality was to respect. There is still that level of respect, but seeing up. Whereas I think more people today see a level playing field of, hey, we're on the same team. Let's work together.
It's really, it's much more of a meritocratic kind of a thing, and you've talked about that with me. But now I think that there is a value seen in the younger mindset towards, look, every business is now a technology company and all that, so it's changed a lot.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was a good 5 years of my life working in the cable business, and then they sent me out to Texas to run a cable system and all that. Eventually, I came back to Colorado and did a deal with the devil and because they made me run a call center,
Oh.
outbound call center for
Ooh.
6 months. It was the worst.
Longest 6 months of
It
your
was
life?
really rough. It was really rough. But anyway, after that, I started a business called Tabor Interactive, and for 7 years grew a multimedia production company.
Amazing.
And that was really fun. It was a great ride. It was when technology was just starting to explode.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing at that time when I started it was that it was really hard to do multimedia, really hard. And so people who could do it well could command big numbers at big margins.
Yeah.
And by the time I exited that, I sold the company. By the time I exited, that it was much tougher to make a great margin. All these tools were coming out, and everybody thought they could do it themselves, and much the way anybody can be a video producer now.
We were just talking about this before, right?
But the difference is, can you do a good job? Can you elicit good answers? Can you do So there's still quality variables, but the technology piece is not that difficult.
Yeah.
And that's what I was experiencing. So I probably got out just in time.
Yeah, I think that barrier to entry for so many different industries now is so much lower.
Yeah,
Talking with Pika CS, our previous guest, about
Mhm.
journalism, same kind of things. Like anybody can,
everybody
can write and everybody can do this.
That's right.
You have a camera on your phone.
It's a tough. I think it's it's super easy to get in, and it's super hard to actually make a living and separate yourself from the noise.
Yeah.
The noise.
How do you make good? At the end of the day, it's
Yeah.
coming in producing good content.
Well, it is, and it's even doing that. One of the things you and I had planned to talk about was, what are some of the challenging trends, or what do we see differently? And I think at its core, it's still about relationships and all that, and in the world, it's so much harder to establish and maintain relationships now, as I see it, because one, people don't want to go golf for 5 hours. Everybody's so busy, and the world is so noisy.
Yep.
That I think it's a real challenge, and certainly a knack and a great skill differentiator for people who can cut through the noise, create good connections, and maintain good connections. I think that's tough and tougher and tougher.
But the reward goes to those, and that's kind of one of the things that I've admired you about, and obviously in your role, and maybe kind of talking about within Casey, the value of networking, the value of bridging gaps. I mean, I think, again, when I kind of look at the world of networking, too many people approach it as, what can I get from that person immediately right now, instead of, as you said, the value in building relationships. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's an interesting deal. I get, and you do. Everybody listening gets requests every day on LinkedIn for people they've never heard of before. Hey, let's link in. I discussed this with my sister, whose name is Susan Tabor Kleiman, who is out east, and she does consulting around LinkedIn. Yeah. And I'm like, what do I do with this? I want to keep my content or my contacts curated. Yeah. So what do I do? I don't want to. And she said, if you see somebody who's interesting, just write to them, message them back, and say, hey, thanks for your request to connect. What is it you'd like to talk about? Where do you see what we might be working together? And I've done that with several people.
And it's worked?
Yeah. Oh. Sometimes you never hear back. Other times they say, well, here's why, and here's what we should do. And I've taken that to heart as I write to people to link in. I like to know them before I ask them to connect.
Yeah.
So I do subscribe to the more expensive LinkedIn, and it's like $60 a month, but it allows me to message people, and you probably do that too, and say, look, I've read this about you, I've seen this about you. Wonder if we might have some things to talk about. What do you think? Yeah. And the response is almost always, well, it's never negative. It's either positive or you don't hear back, which I think is because some people just don't connect or aren't that active.
Yeah.
But I've had some great successes connecting people. And it's always personal. It's always personal. So one time at a Casey reception, I knew the guy who ran a very large law firm, and I knew the CEO of a public company based in Colorado. Both were from Florida, and both loved cool cars. Yeah. And so I encouraged them both to come to a reception we were having. And I'm like, guys, I need to introduce you. I know you, and the two of them were inseparable for the entire time, talking about cars in Florida the whole time. And within a year, the law firm had done $1 million worth of revenue from that public company.
Wow.
Yeah. And
all for taking that a little extra step of knowing,
yeah.
I know these couple things about you.
Right. And I got a call from someone I like very much, who sent an email to a bunch of people, your mother, saying, my son is out of college, he's looking for work. Does anybody know who we might connect with? And I remember I'm like, yeah, I think I do know. And I know he started his first job based on a connection that your mother reached out to me and I reached out to someone, and that happens. Yeah. I do have a rule though. I don't connect people I don't know. Mm-hmm. I just have to. That's my rule.
Well, I feel like because your reputation is online, is when you connect people too, that even though you're connecting both of them and it's up to them, there's still a piece of you that is tied to that, right? If you're recommending a person to that, it's...
I've even done that with my kids because I have this great job, and where I get to meet a lot of business people, and so when my sons needed internships in the summertime, and there are companies that say, oh, we don't take them until they're juniors, or we don't take them, right? Well, my kids were getting them when they were freshmen, and it's because I reached out and I said, look, here's my son. He's looking for this. I think he can help you. And I told my sons then, okay, guys, the door's open. You are a reflection of me. You better make sure I look good.
Don't mess this up.
You better make sure I look good when this is over. And, it always worked out well.
Yeah.
But,
well, and speaking of that, there's an interesting story, and we've talked about this before, but I think it's interesting, and maybe switching gears of talking about, obviously, so from when you were coming up and growing up and working and interacting with the job, you've recently gone through that again with your son, who just moved out to California. Tell me a little bit about that process and kind of what was most important for him in that job search.
Well, I've told you this story, and I've told several people this story because I think, to your point, millennials look at work a lot differently than I did. I mean, my first job was at McDonald's. Well, actually, I was a paper boy at like 4 a.m, and that was when I worked at McDonald's. And you just did what you were told. And you just got paid minimum wage or whatever. You just did it, and it's just, it really is different now in an internet-driven economy. And so, when my son went to CU and was a freshman engineering student, I took him and a few of his buddies on this tour of Colorado. Well, Denver, Metro, Northern Colorado. We went to 4 engineering companies. Yeah. And one of them, one was sort of get your hands dirty engineering, another was high tech, another was medical technology, and another one was related to cell phone business. And one of these companies had like bamboo walls and cappuccino machines and slides and all this stuff. And anyway, we toured all of them. And at the end, I'm like, okay, guys, which one do you want to work for? They all had a different opinion of where they wanted to work, but none of them wanted to work at the cool company. Yeah. None of them wanted to work at the one that had bamboo walls and cappuccino.
The surface level cool, right?
That's right. That's right.
Feels like
because the guys, the engineers, the first year, second year engineers were working at cubes, designing mundane products. And they did not want that kind of work, regardless of how cool it was.
They wanted something a little bit more, a little purposeful.
Yeah. So anyway, it's he's continued to pursue interesting work. In fact, he turned down a job that he didn't think was going to be something he really wanted. And I encouraged him to turn it down because it wasn't what he wanted, and he's skilled, and now he found his dream job, and that's cool. Yeah.
It's part of that journey, and I think it's a struggle that I see a lot of companies have, and I don't know if you see this experience of knowing, all right, how do we attract that next generation, and too much emphasis is put on the surface level, which is, the slide and the this and that, and not really connecting on that deeper, what you're doing matters.
You know what? Smart, talented people want meaningful work. And meaningful at a level, right, that's meaningful to them and even more broadly meaningful to the world.
Yep.
That's what they want. And the more talented they are, the more they want that. Yeah. And so I think, as we talk about it, companies that can figure out how to allow talented people to do great work, then they win.
Yeah. Because I think as much as free coffee or free beer in the afternoon is nice, after a couple months, you're like, okay, well, I can get that on my own. Yeah. Right? That can be done anywhere. Yeah. What's that deeper reason why people want to connect? Yeah. I think it's very interesting. So you've been involved with so many companies in Colorado and seen a lot of changes and a lot of different things. And what, from your perspective, what are some of those great companies doing? How are they attracting that good talent? What are they building around? I mean, when you meet leaders, and whether what leaders are doing or what companies are doing, what are some of those things that you think, man, this company has it together, or that leader has it together?
Yeah. I just came, good timing, I just came this morning from Ball Corporation, where John Hayes launched, or was sort of introducing their annual sustainability report. Mm-hmm. And I think about corporate citizens in Colorado, and Ball Corporation is a great one, Miller Coors is a great one, they're both our members and good supporters. I speak of them not because of that, I speak of them because they still have this long view of the world. Yeah. And one of the trends I've seen is that a lot of public companies, maybe that aren't as well established or whatever, I mean, they're being driven by quarter-over-quarter growth, and they've got this frenetic approach to the world, and maybe they have to. I don't know, but
Yeah.
hell, Ball just merged with Wrexham, and now they've become international, and they still are nice people. They still operate with integrity. They still have great character, and depth of a business that people, I think, admire.
Yeah.
So I think it's more and more tempting to have this short-term, frenetic, bottom line, what's in it for me kind of thing. And I don't know. Those companies, the real quality ones, are still attracting great talent.
Yeah.
And then we see some other rising stars in Colorado, and I think there's this notion that I talk about it a lot in the radio show that to have a great company, you don't have to be in San Francisco. You don't have to be in New York or on a coast. You can be in Colorado, and you can have a great business here, and you can grow a great business here. The difference is that the people who live in Colorado there's something about Colorado that they want to live, right? And it's different. And so, they might want to take off a day to go skiing. They might want to.
Yeah, it's a powder day, and you're like, I got to get up the mountain.
But you know what? I just I went fishing last week fly fishing with the CEO of a very high billion-dollar technology company, and he's like, "This is cool."
Yeah.
And he probably went home and worked that night.
Yeah.
But that's just the lifestyle.
It is. I think that's that new level of flexibility that so many people buy into. That not only business happens from 8 a.m. till 5. I mean, life is an ebb and flow, and I think the more you tap into that, if it's snowing, be like, I'm going to take the half day. I'm going to go up to Copper, and I'm going to go ski for a couple hours, and I'll come back and I'll get to what I need to do.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And there's with phones, with technology, you can work whenever you want.
And I think leaders who embrace that mindset probably also have an advantage in getting and retaining talent, because that seems to be the talent piece, which you spend your life working on.
Yeah.
That seems to be the piece that I think the holy grail really.
It is good talent wants to have ownership of their time.
Yeah.
And I think when a boss dictates how their time is spent, you feel constrained. You're like, I gotta get out of here, right? Which is why when people count down to 5 o'clock, I'm like, okay, I'm done, and we know we need you for an extra. No, I got to get out of here because this is my time. It's a really interesting shift that's happening.
I think it has, and I don't think it's going back.
Yeah, and I think Colorado's such a cool breeding ground because, as you said, we've got so much great established industry, but there is this growing tech startup growth that I think is coming because I think a lot of people are moving out of California because it's so expensive to live there. They're going, all right, where can I go that's a little bit more affordable? And it's pretty incredible to see the startup growth. I mean, are you seeing that influence starting to take effect?
Oh yeah, there's tons.
Yeah.
There's tons. You see it everywhere. I hear some CEOs say that Colorado's got this great small and medium-sized market, and they'd like to see us attract some really big players. That may or may not happen. I think it probably will over time. Arrow's here now.
Yep.
Other companies have grown into those spaces.
Like the Chipotle's.
Well, yeah, of course. I'm thinking of the tech ones, the startups, but Chipotle certainly did.
Yeah.
And but I think over time, as more and more leaders embrace what you're talking about, balance of life and so forth, they'll say, "Wow, I can get a different kind of talent here in Colorado, and maybe if their company gets acquired, it stays here.
Yeah.
Maybe they like Optiv, which is a great Colorado company, starts to when it makes acquisitions, stays here, grows here, expands here.
Yeah.
I think it'll happen.
Yeah. If only we could do something about that traffic, though, right? Traffic's getting ridiculous.
Someday. Oh, I'm a huge fan of driverless cars.
Me too.
Fan.
I was having this argument recently, and everybody's like, "Hey, no, I don't want that." I'm like, "That's going to be the greatest."
It's going to be so awesome. Traffic will flow beautifully. People won't be tailgating and then stopping and rippling it all the way back.
Yep.
They won't be texting and screaming, hitting others, and you just get in, relax. Traffic. Anyway, I'm a big. There's some tests going on. I just read about today. So I think it's going to be very cool. I'm excited about it.
It's going to be in our lifetimes.
Yeah,
we're going to be able to sit in the back and hang out, and
Uber's going to be driverless.
Yeah,
even in my lifetime. So I'm pretty excited. It's
going to be
great.
Great. Well, Dave, I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time.
Yeah.
And as usual, we end with a fun question from our previous guest. Pete Casillas from Denver Business Journal.
I know Pete.
Pete's a good guy. And so his question for you was, if you can win a gold medal in any event, what would it be? Obviously, the Olympics just ended, but Any sport, anything. If you could win a gold medal in something, what would it be?
Anything. I have been having a blast with the radio show.
Yeah.
Pro Business Colorado with Dave Tabor. It's been so fun, and I'm not good enough to get a gold medal. I guess the real question is, if I could get good enough to get a gold medal in something, that would certainly be something I'd enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm in part 2 of my adulthood, because the first part of my adulthood was raising with my wife, raising my children so that they had the ability to be successful and happy in their lives, whatever they choose. And we're sort of there now. My other son's an Air Force ROTC kid, and he's loving life. So now the next part, I think, if I could be good enough to get a gold medal in doing radio or multimedia platform, I'd love it.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. We'll have to make a new Olympic event for that.
I doubt it. No, I don't think so.
Well, they just added in rugby and golf, so you never know.
Next one will be what? Restroom demolition.
Probably.
So,
they got to do construction, all those things. Dave, thank you very much. So a couple things to promote, obviously. So the radio show, what's that?
It's Pro Business Colorado with Dave Tabor. It's on 1690 AM on Saturday mornings from 8 to 10, and the podcast is at soundcloud.com/ProBusinessColorado.
Yep.
So, or you can go to ProBusinessColorado.com, and you'll see.
We'll make sure to link all that information. I was on the show a little bit ago,
great.
And I enjoyed it. It was awesome, great content and
Yes,
everything like
we had
that.
great fun.
And as well too, if you're a Colorado-based company or anything like that, definitely get involved with chambers. I mean, I'm a KC member myself, and I love it. The benefits I get and everything is great.
COChamber.com.
COChamber.com. Unbelievable. Definitely check out your local chamber. There's so many great things I think people don't even realize is available to them in the networking possibilities and meetings. So, Dave,
thanks. It's been fun.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Everybody have a great day. We'll check you soon. Take care.